For 15 years, TLC sold us one of the most elaborate lies in reality television history. They packaged it with warm lighting, family dinners, and a catchy tagline about love being multiplied rather than divided. They gave us Kody Brown with his rotating hairstyles and 4 devoted wives navigating the beautiful chaos of plural marriage. They made us believe this was an aspirational peek into a functional modern polygamous family, and we bought it. Every Sunday night, millions of viewers tuned in thinking they were watching something real, something raw, something authentic. But the curtain has finally fallen. The facade has crumbled beyond repair, and what we are discovering underneath is far uglier than anything TLC ever allowed us to see. The Brown family that existed on our television screens was never the family that existed behind closed doors. The relationships we watched unfold were carefully curated performances designed to protect a brand that was rotting from the inside out. While cameras captured what looked like unity, a completely different and far more dysfunctional reality was playing out off-screen. There was a canyon between the image being sold and the truth being hidden. Emotional isolation, manipulation, favoritism. So blatant it bordered on cruelty. An estrangement so deep that a father now speaks to only 5 of his 18 children. This season has ripped the final bandage off a wound that has been festering for over a decade. Kody Brown is currently stumbling through what fans have dubbed his apology tour, traveling across multiple states to deliver rehearsed remorse to the 3 women he discarded. But even this supposedly sincere attempt at reconciliation has exposed the hollow core of who this man really is. He delivered nearly identical copy-and-paste apologies to Janelle and Christine. He invited David Woolley to sit beside his ex-wife and then bristled when David dared to offer honest advice. And now he prepares to face Mary, his first wife of 35 years, who has already declared that she will not be shut down anymore. The women have moved on. Christine is happily remarried and thriving in Utah. Janelle has relocated to North Carolina and is building a new life with her daughter Maddie. Mary runs her bed and breakfast and has finally stopped waiting for a man who admitted years ago that he would never court her again. They have found peace. They have found freedom. They have found themselves outside the suffocating grip of a marriage that demanded everything and gave nothing in return. But here is what makes this moment so explosive. The show is finally catching up to what viewers suspected all along. The happy family was a fabrication. The shared dreams were a production requirement. The togetherness was scheduled and filmed and performed for our entertainment. Everything we watched for 15 years was a carefully edited illusion designed to normalize a lifestyle that was collapsing in real time. And now, with contracts reportedly expiring and cast members hinting at exits, we may finally be witnessing the last chapter of the greatest deception TLC ever pulled off. The cracks in the Brown family foundation did not appear overnight. They were built into the blueprint the moment Kody decided to abandon the interconnected triplex in Lehi, Utah. That house was the physical proof of their entire mission statement. 3 separate apartments sharing walls, sharing lives, sharing the chaos of 18 children running through hallways. It was crowded and complicated and messy, but it was real. The wives saw each other daily. The kids grew up as full siblings rather than distant relatives. Whatever dysfunction existed was at least contained under one roof where nobody could hide from it. Then came Las Vegas. The show framed it as a dramatic middle-of-the-night escape from Utah's anti-polygamy laws. TLC wanted us to believe the Browns were victims fleeing persecution just to live their truth. It made for incredible television. The urgency, the fear, the family being ripped from their home to protect Kody from arrest. Except none of it was true. Sources close to the family have since revealed that the move was pre-planned long before cameras started rolling. The legal threat was exaggerated for ratings. The panic was manufactured drama designed to launch a new chapter of the series. What actually happened in Vegas was the beginning of the end. The one-house illusion was traded for 4 separate custom-built homes arranged in a perfect cul-de-sac. TLC sold this as the upgraded polygamous dream. 4 queens in their own domains, with Kody making the rounds like some benevolent king, distributing his time and attention equally. It seemed like the ideal solution. Autonomy and unity wrapped in a neat suburban package. The wives got space. The kids got stability. Everybody wins. But the cul-de-sac became a surveillance system that nobody anticipated. Without shared walls, the wives started building their own lives. They stopped needing each other. They stopped functioning as one unit. More importantly, everyone could now see exactly where Kody was spending his nights and where he was not. The favoritism that had always simmered beneath the surface became impossible to ignore when his car sat in Robin's driveway night after night while Christine's basement apartment grew darker and lonelier. The physical separation gave permission for emotional separation. These women were no longer sister wives navigating a shared marriage. They were neighbors who happened to share a husband on a rotating schedule that grew increasingly lopsided. The family dinners became less frequent. The group activities became production requirements rather than organic gatherings. The children started identifying more with their individual mothers than with the collective family unit they had been raised to cherish. Vegas was supposed to represent freedom. Instead, it revealed a fundamental truth that would take another decade to fully surface. This family could not survive proximity, and they could not survive distance either. The structure was flawed from the foundation up, and Kody, obsessed with control yet allergic to accountability, was about to make a decision that would scatter his family across the desert and destroy whatever remained of the plural marriage dream. The move to Flagstaff, Arizona in 2018 was where the family dream was taken out back and put out of its misery. On screen, Kody unrolled his grand vision for Coyote Pass with the enthusiasm of a man who had finally figured it all out. 14 acres of raw Arizona land where each wife would build her own home. A compound where the family could reunite after the Vegas experiment. A fresh start in the high desert where love would finally be multiplied the way the tagline always promised. It sounded beautiful. It sounded hopeful. It was complete fantasy. The reality was a slow-motion train wreck that viewers watched unfold over 7 excruciating years. Instead of breaking ground on this supposed dream property, the family scattered across Flagstaff into separate rentals miles apart from each other. The disconnect was immediate and devastating. Christine ended up isolated and miserable. Janelle bounced between tiny rentals and eventually an RV on the undeveloped land. Mary became a ghost to Kody, someone he openly admitted he had no interest in pursuing. And Robin mysteriously ended up in a massive home that cost over $800,000, while her sister wives struggled. Coyote Pass sat empty. Year after year, the land collected dust and broken promises. The excuses piled up like tumbleweeds. Permits were complicated, finances were tight, nobody could agree on which plot belonged to whom, but the truth was far simpler than any of that. This family was so fractured that building a life together had become a complete impossibility. They were not a unit anymore. They were 4 separate households with competing priorities and a shared husband who had clearly chosen his favorite. The drama over that land dragged on until April of 2025, when it finally sold for $1.5 million. The family had purchased it for $820,000, so they walked away with a profit. But the division of that money exposed just how broken things had become. Christine had already signed over her portion for just $10 back in 2022, choosing to keep her house sale profits instead and make a clean break. Mary and Janelle had to fight for their fair share. Robin reportedly pushed Kody to ensure everyone got 25%, which tells you exactly how willing he was to shortchange his former wives. Janelle recently admitted something that cuts to the heart of this entire disaster. She said nobody actually wanted to live on Coyote Pass. Not Christine, not Mary, not even Kody and Robin, who already had a house nearby that was essentially on the property without being on it. The whole dream was smoke and mirrors, a storyline to keep cameras rolling while the family imploded off screen. 7 years of arguments and resentment over land that nobody truly intended to build on. Coyote Pass was never a beginning. It was a monument to spectacular failure dressed up as ambition. Here is the question that has haunted anyone paying close attention to this family for years. If the wives lived miles apart and had completely separate lives, what on earth were they even filming? The answer is painfully obvious once you accept it. The Brown family only functioned as a family when TLC cameras were rolling. Their gatherings were not spontaneous expressions of unity. They were scheduled, produced, and performed for our entertainment. What started as a documentary about polygamous life devolved into a scripted drama where the cast members played exaggerated versions of themselves. Reports have surfaced over the years suggesting that Kody has considerable control over what scenes actually make it to air. This would explain why so much of the real dysfunction remained hidden for so long. The arguments we saw were real, but blown up, according to Tony Padron, Christine's son-in-law, who confirmed that producers guide the cast on what to say and how to say it. The conflict is manufactured to maximize drama while protecting certain narratives, and when things got too messy for even TLC to package nicely, those moments simply disappeared into the editing room. There have been whispers about NDAs and pressure applied when wives stepped out of line during filming, allegations that certain family members became increasingly controlling over what could and could not be discussed on camera. The show never gave us meaningful insight into the off-screen tensions that were tearing this family apart. All we got were vague references to pressure and arguments that supposedly happened but were never actually shown. It was like watching a movie with half the scenes missing and being told to fill in the blanks ourselves. The TLC money became the glue holding the entire charade together. Reports suggest the family earns around $50,000 per episode, which adds up to a significant income over 20 seasons. This created a production bubble where everyone's livelihood depended on playing their part. You cannot walk away from a plural marriage when your mortgage payments require you to keep pretending that marriage exists. The wives needed the show, Kody needed the show, and TLC needed the Browns to keep generating the drama that drives ratings, even as the premise of sister wives became laughably obsolete. Some of the adult children have hinted that Kody prioritized on-camera moments over genuine private relationships with them. He showed up for filming but disappeared when the cameras stopped rolling. The performative father who delivered emotional confessionals about loving his kids was nowhere to be found when those same kids needed him in real life. The gap between the television character and the actual man grew wider with every passing season until they became almost unrecognizable from each other. This was never reality television in any honest sense of the word. It was a production designed to sell advertising revenue wrapped in the packaging of authentic family life. And the people who paid the highest price for that deception were the ones who never signed up for it, the children. Kody Brown's December 2025 apology tour was supposed to be his redemption arc, the moment where the fallen patriarch finally acknowledged his failures and sought genuine reconciliation with the three women he had discarded. TLC promoted it like a major television event. 3 ex-wives, a whole lot of hurt, Kody Brown making the rounds. What we actually got was a masterclass in performative remorse, so hollow it bordered on insulting. The tour kicked off with Janelle in North Carolina on December 7th. Kody arrived with what he claimed was a list of apologies. He said he was sorry for being angry during the family breakup, sorry for the bitterness, sorry that nobody deserved to experience his rage. Janelle sat there for 90 minutes listening to a man who had spent years dismissing her concerns suddenly pretend he wanted peace. She later told friends the experience left her rattled because of how intense it was. But intensity is not the same as sincerity, and Janelle knew the difference. Then came Christine. The two-part engagement in Las Vegas on December 14th and 21st was awkward from the opening moments. Kody invited David Woolley out of supposed respect for Christine's marriage, but the second David dared to speak, Kody's mask started slipping. He launched into bizarre declarations about how much he used to love Christine, how their relationship was poetic, like a storm and a sunset, how it was a fascinating and wonderful and precious and special experience. Christine sat there visibly uncomfortable while her current husband watched her ex-husband wax romantic about their failed marriage. Christine finally pushed back. She told Kody it was weird for him to say those things, that his wife should be there if he was going to speak like that. "Where is Robin?" she asked. "Why are you saying these things to me when I have a husband sitting right here?" But here is the frustrating part. All of Christine's best responses came in confessional interviews filmed later. In the actual moment, she let Kody ramble through his rehearsed script without real confrontation. The pattern became impossible to ignore. Kody delivered nearly identical copy and paste apologies to both women. The same phrases, the same deflections, the same hollow acknowledgement of anger, followed by zero actual accountability for the specific damage he caused. He apologized for being a victim because he was not one. A sentence that makes no grammatical sense unless you understand that admitting fault is physically painful for this man. And now Mary waits in Utah for the final stop on this performative journey. The previews already promise fireworks. Kody admits the conversation could go bad very quickly. His strategy is to not escalate, but Mary has made her position crystal clear. She will enter with strong boundaries. She will not be shut down. And unlike Janelle and Christine, she has nothing left to lose. 35 years of marriage reduced to a scripted apology tour where the man who abandoned her emotionally decades ago suddenly wants credit for showing up. For years, Sister Wives viewers have waited for someone to hold Kody Brown accountable to his face. The wives tried in their own ways but always pulled their punches. The producers let him ramble through word salads without challenge. The confessional interviews captured frustration but never confrontation. Then David Woolley walked into that Las Vegas restaurant and did what nobody else had the courage to do. He called the bluff, and Kody absolutely could not handle it. The December 21st episode delivered one of the most satisfying moments in the show's entire history. David sat quietly while Kody delivered his rehearsed apology to Christine. He watched as his wife's ex-husband waxed poetic about storms and sunsets and precious experiences. He observed the discomfort on Christine's face as Kody crossed boundaries that had no business being crossed. And then David asked a simple question that changed everything. "Can I give you a little bit of advice? Just a little bit." Kody froze. His face shifted. You could see the internal calculation happening in real time. This was not supposed to happen. He invited David as a gesture of respect, expecting the man to sit there silently and witness his magnanimous apology. He did not expect to be challenged. He certainly did not expect to be taught. David, wanting to offer advice, put Kody in a position beneath someone else, and Kody's ego cannot tolerate that for even a second. Start with your kids, David told him directly. The women have moved on, but your kids still need to heal. That is the part you need to work on. David spoke from experience. He admitted he once butted heads with his own 8 children before repairing those relationships. He knows what it takes to be a present father. He lives with Truly every single day. He sees the damage Kody's absence has caused, and he refused to let this apology tour distract from the real failure sitting right in front of him. Kody's response was predictably defensive. He snapped that his whole purpose was to apologize to Christine. He claimed David did not understand what was going on. He dismissed the advice entirely by insisting David was on the opposite side of the situation. The opposite side meaning the side of the children, meaning the side of the people Kody has abandoned. In his mind, caring about his kids puts you in enemy territory. The talking head interviews made it even worse. Kody doubled down on his arrogance. He said David's experience with his children and any advice offered was something he was just not interested in. He claimed David only has a small perspective on polygamy, but David was raised in polygamy from birth. Kody did not discover it until his mid-20s. The man with zero relationship with 13 of his kids was lecturing someone who actually shows up for his family every day. David kept his cool throughout. He did not raise his voice. He did not match Kody's aggression. He simply spoke truth and let it land, and that restraint made Kody look even smaller. The apology tour focused entirely on the ex-wives, 3 stops across multiple states to deliver rehearsed remorse to women who have already moved on with their lives. But the glaring omission in this supposed journey toward healing exposes the truth about Kody Brown's priorities. He traveled to apologize to Janelle, Christine, and Mary. He did not travel to apologize to his children, the ones who actually still need him, the ones who are still hurting, the ones he has abandoned without a second thought. Kody Brown has 18 children. He currently maintains relationships with approximately 5 of them. That means 13 of his kids have either cut him off entirely or exist in a painful limbo of minimal contact and broken promises. This is not a communication breakdown. This is a catastrophic failure of fatherhood so complete that it defies comprehension. And Kody continues to blame everyone except himself for the wreckage. Leon Brown, Kody's child with Mary, recently destroyed their father's narrative on Instagram. After Kody claimed in a video that he reaches out to his children, Leon fired back with brutal honesty. They called Kody a liar and a joke of a father. They revealed there were no missed calls on their phone. They shared that Kody blatantly blew them off at Garrison's funeral after their brother died by suicide in March 2024. The man who claims to be making efforts could not even acknowledge his own child at a family tragedy. Madison Brownbrush has expressed openness to reconciliation, but her conditions are clear. There would need to be a pattern of consistency before she lets Kody fully into the life she shares with her husband Caleb and their 4 children. She is not asking for perfection. She is asking for basic reliability. For a father who shows up more than once and then disappears again. The bar is on the ground and Kody still cannot clear it. Isabel Brown's tearful confessional broke hearts across the fandom. She admitted worrying that the chance of having a close relationship with her father is slowly slipping away. This is the same daughter Kody refused to fly cross-country for when she had major back surgery. The same daughter who watched David Woolley step into a parenting role her biological father abandoned. She wants to believe reconciliation is possible, but hope gets harder to hold on to when every gesture is met with silence. David Woolley likely spends more minutes per day with Truly than Kody has spent with her in years. He is present for homework and dinners and bedtime routines. He sees the hurt that Kody's absence creates. And when he told Kody to start with his kids, he was speaking from a front row seat to that devastation. Kody's defense is infuriating. He claims the relationship breakdowns happened as a party, not as an individual. Both sides are responsible. Both sides said hurtful things. But he is the father, the adult, the one who should be reaching out unconditionally. His children owe him nothing. He owes them everything. The legal marriages ended years ago. Christine walked away in 21. Janelle confirmed her separation in late 2022. Mary announced her split in early 2023. But for women raised in the Apostolic United Brethren faith, a legal divorce was never the complete picture. These marriages were sealed spiritually, bound by covenants that transcended courtroom paperwork. And until those spiritual ties were severed, something would always remain unfinished. Now the final seals are being broken, and Kody cannot stand it. Mary went first. She approached church leadership seeking what is called a release, the spiritual equivalent of a divorce within their faith tradition. The process was supposed to require both parties to share their side. Kody was notified. He knew exactly when and where the meeting would happen. Mary has the text messages to prove it, but Kody stopped responding. He refused to attend. He simply could not be bothered to show up for the dissolution of a 35-year covenant. The church leaders initially hesitated. They wanted to hear from Kody before granting the release, but as Mari asked more questions and the conversation continued, something shifted. They recognized that Kody had been given every opportunity to participate and chose silence instead, so they granted it that day. Mari walked out single in every sense of the word, free from a marriage that had been dead for years but now finally had a death certificate. Kody's response was predictably bitter. He claimed that if he had been there to share his side of the story, Mary would never have received that release. The arrogance is staggering. He refused to attend and then complained about the outcome of a process he boycotted. He wanted control over something he was unwilling to invest even minimal effort into. That pattern defines everything about this man. Now, Janelle is following the same path. In the December 21st episode, she called Mary to discuss pursuing her own spiritual divorce. She admitted feeling intimidated by church leadership after not attending for more than a decade. She even asked Mary to make the first call on her behalf. But Mary encouraged her to take the step herself. Text them today, she urged, and Janelle did. Right there on camera, she sent the message that would begin her own release process. Kody's reaction to Janelle's decision was dismissive. When she brought it up during their Coyote Pass negotiations, he questioned why she would even bother. They are not part of the church anymore, he argued. Why go through the formality? But Janelle's response cuts to the heart of his hypocrisy. They got married that way. Ending the covenant properly matters. It shows respect for the 30 years they spent together, even if Kody never showed respect for her. These spiritual divorces represent something Kody cannot control and cannot spin. The women are closing chapters on their own terms. They are not waiting for his permission or his participation. They are simply moving forward, and each release granted is another reminder that his empire has crumbled completely. The December 28th episode promises to deliver the confrontation 15 years in the making. Mary Brown, the first wife, the woman who stood beside Kody since 1990, will finally sit down with her ex-husband for the last stop on his apology tour. And based on every preview TLC has released, she has absolutely no intention of making this easy for him. The woman who stayed silent for decades while her marriage crumbled around her is done being quiet. The tension was set up perfectly in the December 21st episode. Murray gathered with her best friend Jen and roommate Amber to discuss the upcoming meeting. Her friends immediately raised red flags. Jen questioned why Murray would even agree to sit down with Kody. She warned that his apology could be manipulative, that if he managed to get under her skin, he would have succeeded in controlling her one more time. Murray listened, but made her own decision. She would go, but she would go prepared. Mary revealed that the last time she saw Kody at Coyote Pass, they did not even acknowledge each other. No eye contact, no greeting, nothing. She tried to catch Robin's eye just to exchange a simple smile. Even that small gesture went unreturned. The coldness was absolute. So walking into this conversation, Mary has no illusions about what Kody might offer. She does not know what version of him will show up. The sincere Kody who occasionally surfaces during difficult conversations, or the defensive Kody who attacks anyone who challenges his narrative. Her strategy is clear. Strong boundaries, no tolerance for manipulation, and an immediate exit if things escalate beyond what she is willing to accept. If it gets to be any more than this, she declared, I am out. She will not sit there and absorb abuse disguised as reconciliation. She will not let his energy mess with her energy the way it has for 35 years. The preview clip already delivered the moment fans have been waiting for. Kody began his rehearsed speech about just being there to apologize. Mary cut him off mid-sentence. No, she snapped. I am going to tell you this, Kody. You are not going to shut me down anymore. The words landed like a thunderclap. After decades of being dismissed and diminished and treated like an afterthought, Mary finally drew a line in the sand. Kody knows this conversation could go badly. He admitted in confessional that it could unravel very quickly. His strategy is to avoid escalation, to persevere until she hears him. But perseverance implies patience, and Kody has never been patient with Mary. He has never prioritized her. He openly admitted years ago that he would not court her if given the choice today. That kind of rejection does not get erased by a scripted apology delivered for television cameras. Mary asked herself the question every viewer is wondering. Does he have some ulterior motive? She does not know, but she is going in open and curious. ready to listen, ready to respond, and absolutely ready to walk away. 20 seasons, 15 years, 4 wives reduced to 1, and a family so fractured that the show's title has become a cruel joke. Sister Wives was built on the premise of a functioning polygamous household navigating modern life together. That premise died years ago. What remains is a scattered collection of ex-spouses living in different states, communicating through lawyers and reuniting only when TLC writes the checks. The question everyone is asking is whether this charade can possibly continue. Reports have circulated that cast contracts expire at the end of season 20. This could mark the final chapter for the Browns as a television family. The original vision has completely unraveled. Christine lives in Utah with David Woolley. Janelle relocated to North Carolina to build a farming business with her daughter Maddie. Mary runs her bed and breakfast in Utah, finally free from waiting for a man who never wanted her. Only Kody and Robin remain in Flagstaff, rattling around their $2 million mansion while the rest of the family thrives without them. Janelle recently dropped multiple hints on social media suggesting her time on the show may be ending. She posted about leaving the series alongside leaving her marriage. She described shedding old expectations and old identities that were never really hers. Fans immediately interpreted this as confirmation that she is walking away from Sister Wives entirely. And honestly, who could blame her? Why continue performing for cameras when real life has finally become worth living?